Well, okay. So we are discussing about Battle of Panipat, third Battle of Panipat, and I hope I am clear, audible, and visible. Just let me know in case
Yes,
you
sir.
miss me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, fine,
No, no.
fine, fine.
Visible and
So
audible
in the
both.
last class, we have seen how that military and political tension built up between Ahmad Shah Abdali on the one side and Marathas on the other side, and how Najib Khan had played quite a treacherous role. He kept the Tajishinde engaged in the battle at Shukratal, and at the same time, he communicated with Ahmad Shah Abdali and requested him to come to India. And Ahmad Shah Abdali, he came with a huge force. The Tajishinde was defeated and killed at Barari Ghat. Later on, Holkar was also defeated in the Taub, and he has to run away. So when this news reached to Peshwa, he now appointed Bhau Sahib Peshwa along with Vishwas Rao to lead Maratha army to north, and this took place on 14 March 1760. And remember that exactly 10 months after this, that is on 14th January 1761, the third battle of Panipat was fought. Well, now in between when all these events were happening in the north, leading to the tension between Maratha and Ahmad Shah Abdali and Maratha occupation of Punjab, Peshwa Balaji Bajirao, he did not came to north personally. Peshwa Balaji Bajirao, he became Peshwa in 1720 when he was just 19 plus. And initially, he did tour northern India. And as if a person go personally to the geographical location of the historical event, he will understand the situation in the right perspective. But later on, we find that that initial enthusiasm has lost from Peshwa side, and he increasingly started depending on his brother Raghunath Rao or his cousin Bhau Sahib. Yeah, in Raghunath Rao was sent to north in 1756, and Raghunath Rao did not really took good care to protect the possession of Marathas. Though the Marathas has conquered Punjab and reached as far as Atak, he suddenly withdraws to southern part of India without taking adequate precaution at the say without taking adequate precaution of the protection of Punjab. At the same time, he incurred huge losses, financial losses. The Peshwa, the kingdom of Peshwa or the Peshwa's daftar office was under heavy debt. Lot of debt was taken. That was the general Maratha practice. Whenever they used to go on expedition, they will take lot of loan from Saukar, the money lender, and then after coming from expedition, they will repay that Saukar with interest. So this debt went on increasing, and now as Bhausaheb has proved himself to be very capable person, very strict. He was very strict in keeping an account, and in fact, it was because of that strictness in keeping the account. He used to ask for the account of the Maratha Sardar serving in the north, and that also sometimes created friction. That also sometimes created differences. But nevertheless, he was a person who is very strict, very very prudent, very meticulous in keeping an account, as well as he has proved himself on the battlefront, like the battle that was fought at Udgir against Nizam, and Nizam was defeated by Bhau Sahib. So Bhau Sahib and Vishwas Rao, they were now appointed. Bhau Sahib was cousin, and there was also a little bit of fear in the mind of Peshwa that Bhau Sahib may become too supreme, as he is very meticulous and as well as he is successful commander. And so instead of just giving a complete command of this expedition in the hand of Bhau Sahib, the nominal command was given in the hand of Peshwa's son Vishwas Rao, who was also groomed to succeed his father, who was expected to become next Peshwa. And Bhausaheb and Vishwas Rao, along with this select cavalry and elephant, they straightway marched towards north from the one battlefield, that is battlefield against Nizam Udgir. And then along with them, other Maratha commanders like Damaji Gaikwad, who was based in Gujarat, Naro Shankar, Vittal Shivdev, Antaji Manekshwar, Balwantrao Mehendale, Nana Fadnavis was very young that time. And one important person was also sent with Bhau Sahib. Bhau Sahib took him, that was Ibrahim Khan Gardi. Ibrahim Khan Gardi, Gardi is a word which is originated from the word guard. Guard is to be generally, that the camp protector, So when French and the British they came to India, French have started this practice of employing the Indian people to guard their camp, and they started calling him guard, and then it became Gardi. So that, and this Gardi people slowly is just protecting the camp. They also started participating in the war, and the French and later on Britishers they trained them in handling of artillery. So Ibrahim Khan Gardi, the Pathan, was the person who was trained to handle artillery forces, and he was working under Nizam. But Bhausaheb Peshwa, he talked to him, and then Ibrahim Khan Gardi joined Peshwa's service under Bhausaheb Peshwa, and Ibrahim Khan Gardi, with his heavy artillery, also marched towards north along with Bhausaheb Peshwa. So Maratha army they started marching towards north, and Bhausaheb he believed that before the rainy season starts, this happened in March. They started in March, and now they had two summer months, that is April and May, and usually June, July, that is a rainy season. So rainy season expedition cannot take place. It's difficult. So Bhausaheb planned that he will catch hold of, he will grapple with Ahmad Shah Abdali in the Doab region in the summer itself, within 2 months. So by May they will catch up with Ahmad Shah Abdali, and the war will be fought before rainy season. In any case, summer is more suitable for the Marathas, because the Marathas they are used to this Indian weather system where the heat is quite torturous, and the Afghan they are being coming from the colder region. They are not used to this kind of heat, and heat it made them quite desperate. But it was not to be. Interestingly, the war was fought in the and the on the field of Panipat when the cold is at its peak, that is 14 January. And what led to the delay, we will discuss that now. So as Bhausaheb and Vishwas Rao, along with their Maratha army, they started in March 1760, and but they encountered a lot of difficulty during their march. First thing, the baggage was very heavy, artillery was very heavy. That has hampered their fast movement. Bajirao Peshwa. The second Peshwa, he was known for his swift movement. We have seen that swift movement was one of the important advantage that Bajirao has utilized, and nullified the advantage on the part of the Mughal and Nizam that they had because of their superior artillery. But now that advantage was lost to Marathas. They could not move very swiftly, and river Gambhira, which is one of the tributary of Chambal River in the central India. That river they had to cross, and that river is not a very big river, but unfortunately, that river was unusually flooded during the summer month. So 1 month was lost, because you cannot carry such a huge baggage across the flooded river. And then Bhausaheb he reaches to Gwalior at in May 1760. But at Gwalior also, Bhausaheb he took almost 1 month, because of course the task was very huge. He has to collaborate with the Maratha Sardar in the north. He has to explore the possibility if the ruler of the northern India like Rajput and Jat, if they are willing to join hands with the Marathas. And in July, that is, now the rain have almost started. In July, Bhausaheb Peshwa he reaches to Mathura, and in between he meet with the Maratha Sardar, that is Mallara Holkar, Jankoji Shinde, and Jat leader Surajmal. He also joins Bhau. Now here, Bhausaheb he develops certain differences with Holkar as well as Surajmal, because Holkar and Surajmal they both advise him that Surajmal he had his kingdom around Bharatnagar. Surajmal and Holkar they both advise him कि you keep these non-combatant people at Bharatpur or at Gwalior. Don't carry them to the battlefield, because you are not meeting with a small enemy. He is a very veteran general of his time, Ahmad Shah Abdali. There were large number of non-combatant people who were accompanying Bhau. The one important problem here is that just before that battle of Panipat, Marathas had been winning battle all over the countries. Nobody could defeat them, and this has increased the confidence of the Marathas. A kind of a superiority. They have developed a superiority and kind of unusual confidence that they are going to win the war, and that has proved one of the important factors that finally led to their defeat. these people non-competent, there were huge number of them, as the people around Pune, as they thought that the Maratha armies are going to north, let us also join with them so that we can go to the pilgrimage places, the places of pilgrimage like Kashi, Prayag, Banaras, Mathura. All those were the important places of pilgrimage for the Hindus. And as they thought that now we have a protection of army, let us march along with army, and go and have, to those pilgrimage center. These non-competent people who came with the intention of going to the pilgrimage places, holy places, had proved to be the huge burden on Bhau later on, as we see. So here they developed a little bit of differences. Holkar was of the opinion that these people should be kept safely at Bharatpur and Gwalior, and let us see what happens later on. But they were not willing to listen, and Bhau was also, it seems to be a bit overconfident of his capacity, that he thought that I will take these people along with me, no matter, as I am probably going to win. Well, other rulers of northern India, like Rajputs and many other rulers, they generally followed the policy of wait and watch, because they thought that who is going to be the supreme now, whether it is going to be Ahmad Shah Abdali in the north, or whether Marathas will remain supreme, as they have acquired a huge territory up to Punjab. Now, Yamuna was also flooded in June, July. So, to the south of Yamuna, Maratha army was there, and to the north of Yamuna, in the Doab, there was army of Ahmad Shah Abdali. But as Yamuna was also heavily flooded, Bhau Sahib with his Maratha army could not cross Yamuna and immediately engage with Ahmad Shah Abdali's army. So they waited for months. In July, the Maratha army reaches to Mathura, but they waited for a month. And as the water was not receding, Yamuna continued to be flooded. The Marathas, they thought that instead of just sitting quietly here and waiting for Yamuna to recede, let us march towards north. Delhi was already in the hand of a captain of Ahmad Shah Abdali. So Marathas, they started marching towards north on the bank of Yamuna. On the other side, the Ahmad Shah Abdali's army also started marching towards north from Doab. So a river is in between, and from both the side, the army started marching towards north. And Maratha, as Delhi was on the side of the Marathas, Delhi Maratha reaches Delhi, and the Ahmad Shah Abdali's captain there was defeated. Here, the artillery of Ibrahim Khan Gardi had proved to be very successful. He fired his cannon balls on the fort of Delhi, and Delhi surrenders to Maratha. So Delhi was occupied by Maratha. Ahmad Shah Abdali's commander, he surrendered on the condition that he will be allowed to go with his life, and he was allowed to go and join Ahmad Shah Abdali. Here, now Bhau Sahib, he developed differences with the Jat king. He already had one differences about the safety of the civilian population, civilian people who were accompanying the Maratha army. Now Jat also wanted control of Delhi, and here Bhau Sahib was not willing to give, because he realized that if he hand over Delhi to Jat, probably there will be a lot of enemies, and he wanted that it should be only the ruler descendant of the Mughal emperor, who should be declared as the king. And here Jat, he leaves Marathas. He leaves and goes back to his kingdom. But of course, he did not join hands with Ahmad Shah Abdali. Now, Bhau Sahib, when he was journeying, he was continued to send his representative to Suja Udola. Suja Udola's father, Safdarjung, he took help of the Marathas to fight against these Pathans and Rohilas. Now, so they had Sujaudallah's father and Sujaudallah's mother was also having a kind of soft corner towards Marathas. Uh, but there was little differences between Marathas and Sujaudallah, because Marathas wanted control of the places of worship like Banaras, Prayag, and Mathura, and Sujaudallah, he thought that these places were under the control of the Muslim ruler for a very long period, and if I hand over these places to Hindu, probably that will be the loss of reputation, and the lot of Muslim population may turn against me. So, and then Marathas were also continue to praise him earlier for the paying up Chauth, and Sujaudollah, from his part, he also feared the Pathan and Rohilas. The Najib Khan was the leader of Pathan. He knew that Najib Khan cannot be trusted, and as their borders match, there was also competition between these Rohilas and Pathan on the one side and Shuja on the other side for increasing their kingdom. And depending on the situation, Suja-ud-Dowla, he took the help of the Marathas earlier and turned against the Pathas. But now, both the people, because Suja-ud-Dowla was having a very prosperous land under him, he was having a significant number of army. And the Marathas and the Ahmad Shah Abdali, they both were trying to win over Suja-ud-Dowla to their side. In fact, Ahmad Shah Abdali and Bhau Sahib, they both promised that you will remain as the wazir of the Mughal emperor. You will be the wazir of the Mughal emperor. But as Suja-ud-Dowla was trying to evaluate both the pros and cons of joining of the either side, Najib Khan was sent by Ahmad Shah Abdali to meet with Suja-ud-Dowla. And Najib Khan, being a brave as well as cunning, he was a rare combination of being very brave and cunning, and he was having a very sweet tongue. A lot of poison against the Marathas, but he was having a very sweet tongue that he could use at the time of requirement. And he turned Suja-ud-Dowla towards Ahmad Shah Abdali. He said, "Okay, we are having, we are giving you wazirship, and we are after all Muslim brothers, and these Marathas, they are in any case praising you for giving you the places of worship. And once they conquered my territory, Pathan territory, you are the next, because your border will be now matching the Maratha empire. So next target will be yours. So it's better you join hands with us." And finally, he managed to convince to Suja-ud-Dowla after a lot of persuasion. And this Suja-ud-Dowla's joining was one of the important decisive factor, because he has a very huge trained army, and Suja-ud-Dowla, he joins with Ahmad Shah Abdali. So that was another very important bad news for Bhau Sahib Peshwa. Well, now Bhausaheb Peshwa and Marathas, they occupied Delhi, such a huge force occupying, force as well as all those civilian accompanying those forces. They occupied Delhi, and they stayed there for months together, and there was shortage of food now in Delhi. The Marathas and their accompanying people, they consume everything that was available in and surrounding Delhi. Now there was a shortage of food, and when all these activities were happening, the attempt of negotiation was also there with Abdali. Bausahib sent his envy, and there was exchange of ambassador. Ahmad Shah Abdali wanted Punjab, at least up to Sirhind and Lahore. And Bausahib was not willing to cede that, because he thought that under Raghunath Rao Peshwe, Marathas have taken the Maratha standard, Maratha flag up to Attak. And if I give it away, probably that will be the loss of reputation. So he wanted to settle the border at Attak, which Ahmad Shah Abdali was not willing to accept, because beyond Afghanistan is a barren land, and he wanted that fertile plain of Punjab as a part of his empire. And as Bhausahib was hard pressed for money, he removes the silver ceiling of Diwan-e-Khas. Diwan-e-Khas was the important meeting chamber of that was built by Shah Jahan in Red Fort, and it was having silver ceiling. The part of it, half of it, was already removed by Ghaziuddin earlier, and the remaining was removed by Bhau, and he struck coins. And now, as that was removed by Bhau Sahib, when Najib Khan he got information about this, he raised propaganda in among the Muslims of Doab, and among all the rulers, that the throne on which the Mughal emperor used to sit, that is being broken by Bhau, and the ceiling is removed. So he has destroyed everything, every symbol of the Mughal empire. And Vishwas Rao, son of Peshwa, Nana Sahib Peshwa, is being declared as an emperor by Bhau Sahib. That was a propaganda that he used to turn the population against Bhau Sahib Peshwa. But Bhau Sahib Peshwa, to encounter this propaganda, he declared in the court that Shah Alam II, who was now living with Suja-ud-Dowla's kingdom, is a Mughal emperor. Now, as they were not getting any food in Delhi, Bhau Sahib thought that instead of just sitting idle here, let us further march towards north, and Kunjapura, which was a very important fort, and on that fort Ahmad Shah Abdali had kept his kept his contingent, huge army, as well as he kept supply there. A lot of food was there, and a lot of arms and ammunition was kept there. So that as Bhausa moved towards north, we have seen the map in the beginning of the lecture yesterday. I'll show it to you again. Yeah, okay. So here is Delhi now. So this Delhi was captured by the Marathas, and they moved towards north. So here the river is flowing between, Yamuna is flowing, and on this side of Yamuna there was Ahmad Shah Abdali, and on the left side of Yamuna's left side was Ahmad Shah Abdali, and Yamuna's right side will be Maratha forces. And from our perspective, our left side will be Maratha forces here, and to the right side of Yamuna, that is our right side, will be Abdali's forces. So these Maratha forces, they cross this area Panipat and all, and they goes to Kunjapura, which is how many kilometer now? 131 kilometer. And this Kunjapura was attacked by Bhausaheb Peshwa, and here also the artillery of Ibrahim Khan Gardi had proved very effective. He bombarded Kunjapura fort, and there was a breach was made. The Pathan army, they were not willing to surrender, and the Maratha army enters, and it was quite a hotly contested battle. The Pathan, they did fought bravely, but large number of there, around 10,000 of the Pathans and Ahmad Shah Abdali's army was cut down by the Marathas. And there was a person called Qutub Shah. He was a person who cut the head of Dattaji Shinde at Barari Ghat. He was captured there, and he was killed. His head was paraded in the Maratha army, and this Qutub Shah and nearly 10,000 Afghan, as they were killed by the Marathas, and the Ahmad Shah Abdali's army was watching this success of the Marathas on Kunjapura on the other side of the river bank, and they felt that revenge, bitterness, that my brethren are being killed, and now here onward the reconciliation becomes very difficult now. So Ahmad Abdali becomes very bitter, and he spoke to his people that we must now take revenge against the killing of 10,000 Afghans and killing of Qutub Shah. And in the process, even if we lose our life, it doesn't matter. It's now obligatory to take revenge. That was considered as a manly thing among the Pathan tradition, that if somebody kills your brother, you must take the revenge. Otherwise, you are not man enough. The kind of different ideas that condition your behavior. Now at Kunjapura, the Marathas, they got quite a significant food, arms, ammunition, and further, as Bhausaheb had intention that from Kunjapura they will go and join hands with Sikh. The Sikh, they were also enemies of Ahmad Shah Abdali. But as Bhausaheb's army was marching towards north, Ahmad Shah Abdali had something else in his mind. So here there is the Yamuna River, and he started looking how he can, cross river to this side and meet Marathas head on. And Bhausaheb Peshwa, from Delhi, when he marched towards north, he had just seen that the river is heavily flooded, and there is hardly any possibility of Ahmad Shah Abdali's army crossing to this side. And he did not take adequate precaution, and that was one of the important fatal mistake done by Bhausaheb Peshwa. Now Ahmad Shah Abdali, he was a very expert commander. He has crossed number of rivers in north and in Central Asia. So he started looking from where he can cross the river, and somehow at one place near Bagpat, Bagpat is near Sonipat here. He found a place where the river was a bit shallow, and the part of it, horse can, cross by swimming. And here he ensured that his complete army is crossing towards I'll be referring to the left bank. You understand that is now the left bank of our left bank, our left hand to the side of Delhi and to the side of the Marathas. So on 3 days, his army, complete army, along with his whole artillery, and he did not have elephants and camels and horses. All that has crossed to this side of river. Now here one advantage was that, in contrast to the heavy artillery of Bhau, he had a light artillery, and that light artillery has proved to be very effective during the battle later on when it was fought in January 1761. Now, Bhausaheb was unaware that Abdali has crossed. Now, Abdali has attacked all those Maratha, Maratha guard points. The Marathas were kept at guard at different places, small number of people, small contingent. So all that were attacked. Many of them ran away, and many of them were killed by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Now the bitterness was too much. Abdali was bent on revenge. When Bhausaheb he got information that Abdali has crossed to this side, he turns back instead of going to Punjab. He turns back, and he was having an intention that I will meet with a head-on collision with Ahmad Shah Abdali now. But Ahmad Shah Abdali, he was a very clever commander. He knew that head-on collision may prove to be there could be risk. As the things were evenly matched now. The Marathas they have proved their mettle. They have a heavy artillery, and Ahmad Shah Abdali knew that this heavy artillery of Ibrahim Khan Gardi, if I attack Maratha forces, this heavy artillery would prove very disastrous. It will create havoc in my army. So what he has done is that at Panipat, he entrenched himself very safely. He built his camp, and that camp was very well protected by the cannon and people. And when Bhausaheb reaches to Panipat, he saw that the camp of Ahmad Shah Abdali is very well trenched and very well protected. And he knew that probably if I engage in the battle now, probably it will be very difficult to dislodge Ahmad Shah Abdali, and I may end up possibility is there. I may end up losing war. So he formulate his counter strategy at Panipat, taking the help of the fort of Panipat, which is a very small fort. He establishes his camp, which was 6 mile long and two mile wide, and the trench was dig up surrounding to that camp, and what a huge trench, and lot of earth, lot of mud was being digged up, and with that mud and with that earth, the rampart were made, and on that rampart the huge cannon of Ibrahim Khan Gardi were put. So the Maratha camp was very well protected, and Bhausaheb he had a plan that I will instigate Ahmad Shah Abdali to attack me. So when he attacks me, I will first use my heavy cannon to create destruction in the Abdali's army, and then my soldier like my cavalry and horsemen and elephants, they will attack. But Ahmad Shah Abdali was more clever than Bhausaheb Peshwa. He understood that if I attack the Maratha well-protected camp now, that will be probably disastrous. It will be very difficult to dislodge the Maratha army. And he waited now. He also tried the same strategy to provoke the Marathas to attack him. And now the situation was such that, you see, from Panipat, if Ahmad Shah Abdali has to go back to his motherland, that is in Afghanistan, there were Maratha camp in between on his way. And if the Marathas has to come towards Delhi and further to Maharashtra, here Ahmad Shah Abdali's camp was on their way towards their homeland. So both the army was blocking the way of each other that will lead them to their own motherland. But now Ahmad Shah Abdali, he gradually proves that he was the better commander. Let us go back and let me see if anything is left before this is over. Delhi captured, Punjapura captured. Well, so now both the armies are face to face at Panipat from November 1760 onwards, and the battle was fought in January. So almost 2.5 months, the Maratha army on the one side and the Abdali's army on the one side, they were face to face with each other, waiting for other to attack. This is defensive strategy of how surrounding his guns were mounted in combat. Well, now here the non-combatant has proved to be the heavy drag on Bhau. Now, if the Bhausaheb Peshwa had been only with the fighters, probably he could have attacked Ahmad Shah Abdali and broken through his rank and reach to Delhi, which was closer to the Maratha Malwa area, which was dominated by the Maratha Shinde and Holkar. But as there were large number of non-combatants, he could not move very fast, and this non-combatant, which were more than a lakh, It is estimated by the historian that the fighting forces of Marathas were only 45,000 and the total number of people in the camp were 2 lakhs. So you can understand that there were 1 lakh 35,000 were non-combatant. Out of them, some were servants, some were merchants, but there were a significant number of people who came there for pilgrimage. Now, you know, the Bhausar Peshwa was encumbered with a lot of non-combatant, but comparatively in November the Maratha spirit was very high. The Marathas, they have conquered Delhi. They were still holding. Maratha commander at Delhi was still holding Delhi. Kunjapura was captured. They had adequate food supply. They had adequate army, and probably the attack would have been better. But Bhausahib calculated that as I am blocking Ahmad Shah Abdali's way towards his homeland, probably Abdali will be provoked to attack Maratha army, and that will be the advantages to me. I can use my heavy cannon because heavy cannon are more suitable to bombard the fort as well as for the defense. With heavy cannon, you cannot move very swiftly because that has to be pulled with the help of the bullock, and the people who manage that heavy cannon, they usually march on foot. They cannot move very swiftly as cavalry can move. But you know, Ahmad Shah Abdali knew that heavy artillery of Ibrahim Khan Gardi can be very disastrous for me. And these two army, they station in front of each other, and daily skirmishes used to take place. Marathas from their side, they will try the night attack, and the Abdali's army, they will try the night attack, and that skirmishes used to take place. And the Marathas, they initially, initial report is that the spirit of the Marathas very very high. They used to go and capture certain animals, camels and horse, and Ahmad Shah Abdali or the Afghan army had no courage to go and encounter them. They were losing at a certain point. But now slowly the situation started turning in favor of Ahmad Shah Abdali. In one of the encounter, Balwantrao Mehendale, the Huzarat commander, Huzarat used to be the army that was directly commanded by Peshwa. Balwantrao Mehendale, he dies, and his wife becomes Sati. And Abdali's position, Abdali Maratha remain at the one place only. Ahmad Shah Abdali, he changed his position twice. So he moved his camp close to Jamuna, where he started getting adequate water. And now he came very close to Doab area, where Nazib's propaganda had already made atmosphere anti-Marathas. The significant Muslim population, they became supporter of Ahmad Shah Abdali and Nazib Khan Rohilla, and they started giving them supply. So now the supply was adequate with Ahmad Shah Abdali, and slowly Ahmad Shah Abdali, he tightened his grip. He cut off the communication of Maratha with Delhi, with Rajputana, and with South. Of course, it was cut out. So we later on we found out that for 2 months, no letter has reached from Bhaus camp to Peshwa in the south. And then Ahmad Shah Abdali, in order to cut off the supply, also sends his contingent in Doab, where the Maratha commander Govind Pant Bundele was doing a very important job of supplying the Marathas with provision, food, and money. He was also under a lot of pressure from Bhau. Bhau used to write him almost daily later that send food, send supplies. And this Govinda Pandabundale, he quite an elderly person. He served the Maratha cause in Doab for a very long period. And he was trying his best to do that. It was difficult for him to get supplies anymore, as the atmosphere was turning against the Marathas. And one of the Afghan contingent, he was sent very very young leader who recently came fresh from Afghanistan, and with the 10,000 army, he pursues Govinda Panta Bundele in Doab. Finally, he catches up with him, and in the skirmishes, Govinda Panta Bundele was killed. His head was cut off. It was taken to Ahmad Shah Abdali, and Ahmad Shah Abdali sends it to Bhau Sahib Peshwa. So, you see that the bitterness between these two are increasing now. Earlier, Qutub Shah was killed. Before that, Dattaji Shinde was killed by Qutub Shah. Now Qutub Shah and other Afghan was killed. Now Govinda Pant Bundele was killed, and his head was sent to Bhau Sahib. And now Marathas, they were really trapped. Marathas, now there was an attempt of reconciliation, of course, and Shuja, though he joined hands with Ahmad Shah Abdali, he was always in favor of peaceful settlement. And from his side, he tried that the matter should be resolved peacefully, but all his efforts were, thwarted by Najib Khan Rohilla. Najib Khan, he knew that. Now, if Ahmad Shah Abdali withdraws from India without suppressing the Marathas, they will take revenge on me. They are sure to kill me. And he persuaded Ahmad Shah Abdali that no, you should stay back. I will pay you money. Once let the Marathas be over, finish off the Marathas once for all. So that attempt of reconciliation was failure. The Marathas, they started starving in the camp, and everything in the Panipat town was taken by Marathas and eaten away. And now the Marathas, they were when they were now the Ahmad Shah Abdali's grief was tightening. He also cut off the water supply to the Maratha camp, and whenever the Marathas ventured out in the night in search of food, they were caught and cut down by Afghan. Now the Afghan army became very ruthless against the Marathas. They were bent on destroying, and the religious frenzy was also very high. Those Maulavis and those who were with Ahmad Shah Abdali, they also instigated the sentiments that you should not compromise with these Kafir Marathas. They need to be annihilated and killed. And as there was shortage of food and fodder, large number of Maratha animals, horses, which was the main important factor in the fast cavalry movement, large number of animals including horses were have died without food. And the stench of that the bodies, it was becoming unbearable for the Marathas. How many animals they can just ask the servants to carry, pull them out and throw it out the camp. Every now and then, a large number of animals were dying. And now, as all the attempts of reconciliation has failed, Marathas were starving, hungry, animals were dying. Now, Bhau Sahib, he talked to his commanders, and the final decision was taken that instead of dying by hunger, let us fight, and if we are victorious, that's fine, otherwise we'll die while fighting. And that decision was finally taken on 10th January 1761. Now, when the meeting of commander was happening, Holkar, he never liked this Ibrahim Khan Gardi's strategy of fighting the war with heavy artillery. He was an expert cavalry commander, and he believed that we Marathas had been expert in the guerrilla warfare. Let us adopt the tactics of guerrilla warfare. But now, in the situation, the guerrilla tactics was not going to be helpful, because for guerrilla tactics, first thing is that you should not have lot many non-combatant people with you, which was there in the Bhau Sahib camp. The fighters, they can just attack and run away. But how the women and children and the elderly people will run away? So you have to win the war in case you want to save their life. And Holkar believed that let us adopt the guerrilla tactics, attack Ibrahim Khan Gardi and withdraw, and we will be saved. Rush to Delhi. Delhi is in any case in our hand now. But Ibrahim Khan Gardi, as his heavy artillery was manned by the people who walk on foot, infantry, he believed that if the people on horse rider in the Maratha, if they started running away, my men cannot run with them. They are on foot and they will be surrounded and cut down by Ahmad Shah Abdali's army. So they developed very serious differences here, Ibrahim Khan Gardi and Holkar. And finally, Bhau Sahib, he decided in favor of Ibrahim Khan Gardi. He said, no, we are not going to adopt the guerrilla tactics of, slash and run, hit and run. So what we will do is now that on the day of the battle, 3 days all this discussion was going on from 10th January to 13th January, and responsibility was handed over to different people. And Bhau Sahib, he formulated his plan that our army will move in square, will form square. In between there will be women and all those non-combatant people, and it will be surrounded and protected by Ibrahim Khan Gardi's cannon, and the cannon will move, and along with that cannon, other fighters will move. So the cannon will first create a destruction. There will be a gap. Will create a gap in in Ahmad Shah Abdali's army, and through that gap will rush towards Delhi. We will not leave these people just like that. We will not follow the guerrilla tactics of running away, because in case of guerrilla tactics, only the fighter may be able to save their life, but what will happen to the non-combatant? So you see here, this responsibility of protecting the non-combatant was one of the important factor that has seriously hampered the movement of the Marathas and finally led to their defeat. So they planned that we will dash through Abdali's army and reach to Delhi. So up to 13 January, when all that was decided, 14 January, early morning, the Marathas, as they have planned, they form a square and they started marching towards Delhi. And of course, they have to cross Ahmad Shah Abdali's army. So here, if you compare the fighting forces, Ahmad Shah Abdali had nearly 60,000 combatant, 30,000 that he brought from Afghanistan, and 30,000 that joined with him from India. That is Pathans and Rohilas and Suja's army. And Marathas, they had large number, 2 lakh. As I told you, the number of combatants, the fighters, were only 45,000. So numerically also, Ahmad Shah Abdali was having his superiority. And when Ahmad Shah Abdali he planned his tactics, he kept the battalion of Suja and Najib Khan, that is Indian battalion, in between, and the Afghan battalion were kept outside. So they were. He was not really trusting his Indian ally. He thought that at the heat of the battle, probably they will run away or join hands with the Marathas. Now, as he saw that in the morning, that Marathas are marching in square. So in order to prevent the Marathas from going towards Delhi, he created a kind of wall of his army. Now, as the wall was created, Bhau Sahib was forced to change his tactics, and instead of marching in square, he formulated a long line. And he thought that a long line will be better, because if you are able to breach that the wall made by the human, that is the army of Ahmad Shah Abdali, probably I'll be able to penetrate with my people and break through Abdali's army. And this dash, with the break of the dawn, the Marathas started marching through from their camp. They left their camp, which was their house, for 2.5 months, and the dash started at 9 a.m. Bhau Sahib and Vishwas Rao, they were in the middle, and they were against Shah Wali Khan, the Wazir of Abdali. And Ibrahim Khan's artillery was on the left side. So Ibrahim Khan, he opens his fire, and initially the Maratha seems to be gaining victory. Ibrahim Khan, he killed nearly 3,000 Rohilas, and the Rohilas, they started running away. But Abdali was, as it has proved earlier also, he was a much better general than Bhau Sahib. Probably he was standing on the higher platform, and he could see where there is a gap where his army is falling back, and he immediately used to send a reinforcement. He kept a certain army reserve, which Bhau Sahib could not do, because their plan was in any case to break through the Ahmad Shah Abdali's camp. So everybody has to march. So Ahmad Shah Abdali, he sends reinforcement, and finally the position was recovered. But initially, when Ibrahim Khan Gardi was creating havoc, killing large number of Rohilas, Vitthal Shivdev Insurkar, who was supposed to not to cross the line, because see, the Maratha cannons were marching in the front, and behind that cannon, the Maratha army was marching. Now, if the Maratha cavalry comes in front of their own cannon, if you fire a cannon, that will kill your own soldier. But that was not understood. There was a lack of coordination among the Maratha commander, and this Vitthal Shivdev Insurkar, he crossed the line of his own cannon, the cannon of Ibrahim Khan Gardi, the Maratha cannon, and he came in front of Ibrahim Khan Gardi to attack the Rohilas. In the excitement, he thought that as the Rohilas are running, we are winning the war, let us kill them. But as he came forward, Ibrahim Khan Gardi has to stop his cannon, because that cannon would have killed their own Maratha soldiers. And the Afghan soldier, as they were running away, they got reinforcement from Ahmad Shah Abdali, and they also had small cannon mounted on the camel. Those cannons came to their help. They turned around and then they started firing on the Marathas. So Marathas, they were fighting with the sword, as the cannonball, small cannon and guns started firing at them. The large number of Marathas were killed. So that side was almost lost now. Ibrahim Khan's artillery was stopped. His infantry men who were supporting him, they were all cut down by Ahmad Shah Abdali's army, and Ibrahim Khan was captured. In the middle, what was happening? Let us talk now. The Hujurat, the main army led by Peshwa Bhau Sahib and Vishwas Rao, they fought very very fearlessly. They attacked the center led by Shah Wali, the Wazir of Afghanistan, Wazir of Ahmad Shah Abdali, and the center was almost broken. Large number of Ahmad Shah Abdali's army, they started running away, and there was a breach. So here also again, if Bhau Sahib did not had the responsibility of this non-combatant people, probably Maratha army could have escaped through that breach, and could have reached to Delhi safely. But here again, Ahmad Shah Abdali, he had proved again his generalship. He allowed the Maratha to spend their force in the initial attack. Initially, he played a defensive role as the Marathas were hungry for a couple of days. And initially, though they fought very bravely and made the Afghans to run away, by afternoon they were thirsty and hungry and they were losing their energy. And it was this point that Ahmad Shah Abdali counted upon. So he sent his reinforcement. He also sent his personal bodyguard to stop all those who were running away and make them to come back to the battlefield. Otherwise, he said, otherwise I am going to kill you. Your motherland is far away. You cannot run away to Afghanistan. In any case, you are going to be killed. And that has turned the tide in favor of Afghan, as the Marathas were now quite tired, and the reserve army came in the center. The Afghans who were running away were also came back, and a chance shot hits Vishwas Rao, and Vishwas Rao was killed. As Vishwas Rao was killed, Bhau Sahib, he lost his balance. Commander is not supposed to lose his balance. He loses his balance, and with his trusted soldier, he enters into Afghan army, slashing all around. And after that, Bhau Sahib was not seen. So center now the Marathas, as they saw that Vishwas Rao is killed and Bhau Sahib is no longer being seen. They seems to be losing heart. On the right side, Jankoji Shinde was inflicting quite a heavy damage on Nazib Khan, but Nazib Khan was supported by the artillery, and this loss of Vishwas Rao and Bhau Sahib being lost in the Afghan has the Marathas now they lost their heart, and now the tide turned in favor of Ahmad Shah Abdali. The Maratha center was broken. They started running away, and at the same time, Marathas repeatedly proved themselves to be not very good judge of man. When Kunjapura was captured by Marathas, there were some number of Pathans who surrendered to Marathas, and that were absorbed in the service. They were given the responsibility of protecting the camp. Now, when this Pathan, they were the brethren of Ahmad Shah Abdali, when they saw that the Maratha center is broken, they started attacking their own people, that is Maratha camp, and looting them. And there was a panic among the non-combatant that it is Ahmad Shah Abdali's army who has reached up to the women, who has reached up to the civilian population. And all that panic started. Marathas started running away, and they were now chased by Ahmad Shah Abdali, and there was a large number of killing of fighters and civilian population. Ibrahim Khan Gardi and Jankoji Shinde were captured, and they were put to death later on. About the dress of the Afghanistan also, that has proved one of the advantageous thing. The Marathas, they used to wear thin cotton, and thin cotton was it doesn't protect you from the impact of sword or the impact of any any weapon. But the Afghan, as they came from the colder region, they used to wear the woolen or they used to wear the leather jacket. So if you hit a person with the leather jacket, your impact it loses its intensity. The one or two heating may just cut open the cloth, and then you will be able to pierce the body of your enemy. But Marathas, they were wearing the light cotton clothes, so any impact was directly taken on their body. That was also one of the important reason that in the hand-to-hand combat also there was a heavy loss on the side of the Marathas. Now in the battle, let me just take a look if I have this is over. Jankovi Shinde, afternoon, Abdali. This is over. Looting the camp. Maratha, Shinde, Holkar. Shinde and Holkar, they started running away. You remember Shinde's and Holkar army, they were already earlier also defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Though Jankoji Shinde fought very bravely, but they also started running away, having seen that Bhau Sahib is lost now. And by late afternoon, the victory was certain for Ahmad Shah Abdali. The chasing and killing, it continued through the night. It continued next day also, and it is believed that nearly 30,000 people died in the battle. 35,000 people were captured, and they were killed by Ahmad Shah Abdali's soldiers next day. And nearly 8,000 people from Maratha side, they took shelter with Shah Shuja. Shah Shuja, though he joined up hands with Abdali, he still had some sympathy for the Marathas, and it's on his own expenses that he ensured that these 8,000 people are reaching to the safety of Jat King. Though Jat King has left Bhausaheb Peshwa because he had differences who will hold Delhi, he did not turn against the Marathas. And as these Marathas, as they started running away, it was Jat King and his wife, Queen Kishori, Rani Kishori. They gave shelter to these defeated Marathas, provided them food and shelter, and ensured that they are reaching safely to Maharashtra. Many women were captured, Maratha women. Parvati Bai, Bhausaheb's wife, however, she managed to escape somehow. Nearly 75,000 Marathas they perished in the battle, as well as the killing that continued in the night of on 14 January 1761, and the next day when they were pursued by Ahmad Shah Abdali's army. Next day, the dead bodies of Vishwasrao and Bhau's headless body. Bhau's body was found that was not having head, but it was identified by the people, and that was cremated according to the Hindu rite by Anup Giri Goswami and Kashiraj. Kashiraj was a Maratha in the service of Suja Udola, and he wrote Panipat Bakhar in Farsi. And then there was a person called Anupgiri Goswami. You know, this Awadh area that was under the control of Suja, they had the tradition of fighting Goswamis. On this fighting Goswamis, Jadunath Sarkar has written a book. So these Goswamis, though they were Hindus, they remained very loyal to Suja. And interestingly, from the side of Suja, they fought against Marathas in this battle. But on the request of Shuja, Ahmad Shah Abdali allowed that cremation of Ishwasrao and Bhau should take place. So this Anupgiri Goswami and Kashiraj, they identify the bodies of Bhau and Vishwasrao and they cremated. And for this, it is believed that Shuja paid 3 lakh rupees to Ahmad Shah Abdali. Later on, next day, Bhau Sahib head was also found out, which was hidden by Bandurani soldier, and that was also cremated. Jat Raja Surajmal and his wife Rani Kishori, they tried to provide comfort to the fugitives. So this is the battle. Just a minute. Just a minute. Huh. The Abdali has proved himself to be superior general. The Marathas they did not take adequate precaution to protect Punjab. Had they taken precaution to protect the borders, it would have been difficult for Ahmad Shah Abdali to cross into Punjab and further into the Doab. Marathas diplomatically also they proved themselves to be quite failure. They could not keep Suja along with them. Jat was also became antagonized, unhappy with the Maratha policies. Just before the Battle of Panipat, the Marathas they have interfered into the internal matter of Rajput, and the Rajput have also turned against the Marathas. In fact, Rajput ruler like Madho Singh, he communicated with the Ahmad Shah Abdali and requested him to come to India and defeat the Marathas. So that was also a diplomatic failure on the part of Marathas. Peshwa did not came to north for a very long period, so he was, though he was getting information from the other Sardar, but his personally coming to north would have definitely made the difference. Marathas they have failed to contain Najib Khan. Earlier Najib Khan has cooperated with Ahmad Shah Abdali, but when Marathas captured Delhi, it was Holkar who protected Najib Khan, and there it is believed that probably he paid. There was a lot of bribe. Najib Khan was called as his son, and it is also believed that during that Panipat war, when large number of Marathas have died, it was Najib Khan who ensured that Mallara Holkar is being safely escaping from the battle. The Marathas they lost early advantage. They waited for 2.5 months at Panipat. The condition continued to become worse. There was internal differences among the Marathas, like Holkar and Sindh. They had hereditary enemy. Holkar had differences with the fighting tactics of Ibrahim Khan Gardi, and to what extent Bhausaheb was responsible. Bhausaheb definitely he made certain mistakes. He did not adequately protect that Ahmad Shah Abdali is not crossing this side. He failed to keep Jat with him. He during negotiation he did not allow Ahmad Shah Abdali to take area up to Sirhind and Lahore. Probably that would have avoided the battle. Now, after Panipat, Ahmad Shah Abdali, he comes to Delhi, but he was constantly praised by financial problems. And Nazib Khan, who promised him a lot of money, he expresses his helplessness. He said, I don't have any money." When Shuja was praised for money, Shuja escapes from Delhi and comes to Lucknow. He also got the news that Peshwa, in fact, before the Battle of Panipat, Peshwa was already marching towards north with a significant army. And then he thought that reconciliation is better. His own army was revolting against him because the pay was not given for months together, and he thought of reconciliation. So he writes a letter to Peshwa, and in that letter, just a minute. So in that letter, you see what he tries to negotiate. I'll read out a few words of this letter that is Ahmad Shah Abdali wrote to Peshwa. He says that there is no real reason why there should exist any ill feeling between you and us. True, you have lost your son and brother in the unfortunate fight, but it was entirely provoked by Bhau Sahib, and we could not act otherwise than we did in self-defense. However, we are deeply sorry for these losses. We readily leave to you the subject of the imperial management of Delhi, provided you allow us to hold the Punjab up to river Satluj and support Shah Alam as the emperor. You must forget the regrettable events that have taken place and entertain a lasting friendship towards us, which we are anxiously soliciting. So he was in a mood to reconcile with the Marathas. He understood that even though the Marathas have lost, there is no other forces, there is no other power that can match Marathas. Mughal cannot hold on their own, and finally he agrees to the arrangement that you do the politics of Delhi. Just give an area up to Satluj to me, and probably that was his demand earlier also. Then after writing this letter, he goes back to he starts his journey towards Afghanistan in March 1761. And he had, though Marathas were his enemy, he killed large number of them. He had admiration for the bravery of the Marathas. And as the another army was marching towards north, he was not in a position to encounter another Maratha army. For example, he writes the letter that he wrote to Madhav Singh immediately after the battle, where he writes about the Marathas. I'll read out his letters to you. The flame of fighting blazed up and raged on all sides. The enemy to distinguish themselves and fought so well that it was beyond the capacity of other races. So, gradually the fighting passed from the exchange of cannon and rocket fire to the discharge of muskets, from which it proceeded to the stage of combat with sword, dagger, and knives. They grasped each other by the neck. These dauntless bloodshedders, the Marathas, did not fall short in fighting and doing glorious deeds. So, he knew that Marathas are a very brave race, as he had encountered them at Panipat, and it is difficult to rule without the support of the Marathas. So, that in fact, if we try to analyze the causes now effects, we find that neither Marathas nor Ahmad Shah Abdali gained anything significant from this battle. The Maratha position in north, it was regained again after a few years. Ahmad Shah, but it took few years, 1761. So it took almost 5-6 years. Marathas could not pay attention to north, and Ahmad Shah Abdali goes back, and there was a political vacuum. And the people who benefited from this political vacuum were the Britishers. Now the Britishers, they started their conquest. Just remember, the Battle of Panipat was fought in 1761, and 4 years before that, the Battle of Plassey was fought 1757, which is considered as the beginning of the British Empire. And 3 years after the Battle of Panipat, Battle of Buxar was fought in 1764, where the Mughal Emperor, the Nawab of Bengal, and the Nawab of Awadh, they all three were defeated by the Britishers. Here, had they been supported wholeheartedly by the unbroken power of the Marathas, probably things would have been different. But Marathas could not pay attention to North after this huge loss at Panipat. So the battle, in fact, benefited the Britishers, who did not participate in the battle. The shock was too much for Peshwa Nana Sahib. Peshwa before the battle, he started towards north, and it was not, he was not sure why the news is not reaching from Panipat. And it's a few days after the battle that he got the news, and that was too shocking. Loss of his competent cousin Bhau Sahib, loss of his eldest son Vishwas Rao, and such a huge loss to the Maratha army. He loses, his health, and he dies by that shock in few months. Now, as the very capable people like Bhau Sahib and Shamsher Bahadur, son of Bajirao, born to Mastani, and a large number of these people, they died in the Battle of Panipat. Maratha Empire was deprived of the capable people. Very few capable people were left, like Nana Fadnavis and Mahadaji Shinde. They both, in fact, escaped from the carnage that happened at Panipat. But this loss of the good people gave space to the very unscrupulous and cunning element like Raghava Dada to raise their head, and they have created a lot of problem for the Maratha Empire later on. The Maratha did not lose altogether. Later on, Mahadaji Shinde and Nana Fadnavis, they re-established the Maratha domination in the north. Delhi was also captured later on. And Abdali was, though he was victorious technically speaking, but the loss was too much for him. And hereafter, he really did not interfere in the politics of Delhi. There was no particular gain to Ahmad Shah Abdali. The only gain was for the British. So here we end our discussion on the Battle of Panipat. We have discussed the political and the military tension that built up in North India before the Battle of Panipat. We have discussed Bhau Sahib's march to North, the maneuvering of both the army, finally coming face to face at Panipat, the strategy, and how finally Ahmad Shah Abdali proved himself to be more patient and more capable commander. Probably Marathas had made a large number of mistakes, and that had proved very costly, and one of that was carrying non-combatant, huge number of non-combatant on the battlefield. And the effect, we see that it led to the Maratha loss, but Marathas could recover later on. Ahmad Shah Abdali could not get anything, not much. The only people who could benefit from this loss to the Marathas were Britishers, as they were tightening their grip over Bengal. Marathas could not pay attention towards Bengal, and that has proved beneficial to the Britishers. So here we end our discussion on the Battle of Panipat. When will be the next class? I will.